Hi, yeah, it's Jackie here with the LGFA, and we're on a call ahead of a very big weekend in the TG4 All-Ireland Championships. We have four senior quarterfinals, a senior relegation playoff. We have two intermediate semi-finals, and we have two junior semi-finals as well. So to look ahead, I'm joined by Nadine Doherty, former Donegal star, top left-hand side of my screen. Caoimhe Marley Morgan from Armagh, bottom left, making her seasonal debut. Good to have you back, Caoimhe.
It's good
Is
to be back.
bottom left hand side of my screen, and also delighted to be joined by Councillor Emma Murphy, the Mayor of South Dublin, bottom right hand side of my screen. Emma, that's some way to start, isn't it? Congratulations. Phenomenal
Cheers,
news for you,
Jackie.
and very well deserved. Tell us how all of this came about.
Yeah, it was been a bit of a whirlwind really the last 10 days, kind of trying to get used to it, trying to get used to the titles and getting over kind of the election. But yeah, it was a little bit in the making for a month or so beforehand, but I was running for election as the mayor as well. So really weren't sure how things were going to go until the day really. And it went well for me on the day. So yeah, it was it's look, it's a massive honor and a massive privilege. Not very many people get to do it, and we've we very rarely, no, actually we've had no mayor twice here in South Dublin. So when the opportunity came up for me, grabbed it with two hands, had the conversation at home. I might see you on the 1st of July next year, and that was about it really. So yeah, look, it's a fantastic experience. Already kind of 10 days in is just really enjoying it. And if the last 10 days are anything to go by, I'll have a great year. So it's been super.
Well done, congratulations, and best wishes. And don't forget about the little people. We're still we're still your friends. We wish you so well. And look, you've got very big weekend coming up as well, because Caroline, your wife, and Roscommon are playing against Wexford in the All Ireland Intermediate semi-final on Sunday.
Yeah, that's right.
In Cretty Yard. How is she? Are you seeing much of each other the last 10 days or so with all of this going
Yeah,
on? And she's training mad as
only
well,
saying
I'd say.
today, training mad, down for training last night. Ships in the night, really kind of passing each other by. But I suppose with a big match coming up, I think both of us probably prefer that. Which is great. They Roscommon they were really well. They did really well, and they were really organised against Louth in the quarter final. A bit of a baptism of fire for me. Actually, had to text Priva and actually ask her how she actually manages to commentate on family members when I was stood next to Jerome commentating on my own wife playing a match, and I got into massive trouble. Well, actually didn't. Well, I kind of should have, because I didn't consider her for player of the match, but she got player of the match in all of the Roscommon papers. So that put me back in my box straight away. But yeah, no, look, it's they went really well against Louth. Really well organised. It was a really defensive match. Both defences really on top, and Roscommon really kind of grounded out. So it was a different kind of performance from them that I'd kind of seen if from previous performances. We're expecting kind of loads of goals and lots of scores, and after 20 minutes there was a point on the board, and it was really kind of attritional. So that was kind of an interesting one. And they're ding dong now with Wexford, a repeat of the Division 3 final from earlier in the year. It was only a point in that at the end of the day, and it's going to be an absolute ding dong for both teams. And Wexford, to be honest, for me, Wexford are the most impressive quarter finalists. Given that the hurdle they had to get over with Tyrone, a Division 2 team, they're a Division 3 team, and I thought they were really, really impressive. So if that one is going to be an absolute ding dong, I'd say. If I wouldn't be surprised if it's just a point in that one in the end.
Oh, it's going to be a great game, and we've two semi-finals in the Intermediate Championship on Sunday. Cllr and Laois is another really good game to look forward to. We were delighted to honour Eoin Fitzpatrick from Laois today with the Croke Park LGFA Player of the Month for June. Her goal against Tyrone was just magnificent, that solo goal. And the last time out, she had this little dinked pass that took out God knows how many defenders, and Sarah Ann Fitzgerald finished off a goal for Laois. So two brilliant semi-finals to look forward to there. And then also on Sunday, from an Ulster perspective, Caoimhe, we've Antrim against Carlow in the junior semi, and Fermanagh against Limerick in the junior semi. So look, I suppose from an Ulster point of view, you'd probably like to see an Ulster team winning this championship and going up to the intermediate grade this year. Obviously, Fermanagh will be anxious to get back up as quickly as possible. And Antrim beaten finalists last year as well. So they're at that penultimate hurdle again. We have a big day for both not only Antrim and Fermanagh, but also Carlow and Limerick, who have strong claims in this championship as well.
Yeah, I suppose I know a good bit about these teams, having been drawn in to coach with James Daly with Fermanagh, so I'm not going to give too much away here.
Segue.
But yeah, look, Antrim have been going really, really well. We've played them a couple of times in the league, the Ulster Championship, and I would say they're favourites against Carlow. We did play Carlow in the group stages, and they beat us. And I don't think we played our best game that day, so maybe it was a false reflection as to where everybody was at. I know a lot of people had been tipping Carlow, but I kind of knew that, Antrim are very, very strong. They have Doherty back now. They have Kathy Kerry who pulls all the strings. And I think, they are just coming together at the right time. In Fermanagh, I feel that we know our players so much better. I looked at the programme when we played them in the semi-final in the league, and our team has changed how we know our players. The matchups, we're much more educated as to who should play where and who should pick up certain people. I mean, Limerick have great players. They have a fantastic full forward line, inside forwards, a really good midfield, strong, good runners. So, obviously without giving too much away, we're hoping for a really, really good battle on Sunday. And, as you said, for Ulster teams, yes, we need to be progressing because, we're seeing in the senior championship, Cavan and Monaghan are kind of on the edge. They're in senior championship. Cavan lucky to get out of it, I think, and stay up in senior, but there's still a lot of work to do. And, I predicting that Monaghan will go down. I think it's something that needs to happen probably because they need to rebuild. And they lost a fantastic amount of players that were quality players, and it was just for one thing or another, age, wanting to move on, have families and things like that or whatever. But they have a good under-16 squad that was taken by Fiona Kinlan and Neve. And they should be coming through to minors, and the minors hopefully will feed into their senior squad. So I think maybe intermediate championship, although they'll not agree with this, wouldn't be where they'd want to be, but I think it's where maybe they will build best. So in terms of, Ulster Championship and progression, I'd like to see an Ulster team in junior go up, non-biasedly so for Fermanagh, and I'd like to see maybe Monaghan get a bit more of a go at intermediate and rebuild in their ranks.
Okay, I'm sure you'll be happy to install Limerick as favourites so on Sunday, Caoimhe, yeah, but let's load all the pressure on over there, all right, And come here, it was a lovely picture. I think it was on Instagram or Facebook. I saw it. Ciara McInespy, we wish her well. She's pregnant and expectant, so we wish Ciara all the very best as we talk about Monaghan. That's a big game on at the weekend on Saturday. Nadine, Monaghan and Waterford. Two counties, incidentally, who in 1997 played an All-Ireland final against each other, and in 1998 played an All-Ireland final against each other at senior level. Went to a replay. It was 1-1 when the dust settled on those magnificent battles. You think back to the players that played in those games: Jenny Green and Angela McMahon, the O'Ryan twins. God above you, the list goes on. And here they are now, two proud counties, Nadine, fighting to stay up in the senior grade.
Yeah, I think there's only one winner really. It's Waterford. I think Waterford have been so unlucky this year in both the league and championship. In the groups they've been drawn, and I suppose it's something I've kind of spoken about before. It's just when you're in a group of three, it's very difficult. Like the groups were nearly decided before a ball was kicked with the seeding process and so on. So I don't know if it's something the LGFA are going to look at, but you'd nearly look at, would we be better with two bigger groups? And I think if you had that, you'd possibly have Waterford in the quarterfinal. That's just literally the luck of the draw. Monaghan, I know what Caoimhe was saying, about them going down and rebuilding. I don't know, I could see Monaghan languishing down there for a good few years, to be honest, because they have such tradition in the county, and you spoke about that really good under-16 team. They've good underage coming up. I feel they'd be a kind of team that if they did get to stay up, okay, they wouldn't be challenging for honours or anything like that. But I think they as a county would be happier to stay up in senior and build from there. But look, at the likelihood of that happening is slim to none. And I'd say Waterford will be safe for next year. And unfortunately for Monaghan, they will be going down. And it is, they're a massive, massive heritage in that county. You're naming players. I think a 15-year-old Neve Kindlin played in those finals, So yeah, it'll be disappointing for Monaghan. They survived a scare. Was it last year or the year before that they just stayed up? And you could see what it meant to them. They did not want to go down. No more than Cavan there, at the weekend, the celebrations there and so on. So look, it's going to be tough on them, but I wouldn't think it's a game that they're looking forward to be honest.
I think the aforementioned Cllr, now that you're stirring up the memory there, Nadine, scored a late goal against Cavan in a group game. Was it last year? That's
Wasn't it? Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I think that's right. I'm sure
To
somebody,
keep them, yeah, to keep them
if
up.
we
and
have this on Facebook later on, I'm sure somebody will correct us in the comments
somebody
below
will, yeah. They
if
were
if
right
we're
for
not
that.
right. So we obviously have 4 senior quarterfinals as well, folks, and I'll stay with you, Nadine, because obviously for Donegal it's Dublin and it's the acid test and whatever other cliche you want to put on it. Go on.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
Look, you know, I always say it, Donegal, when they're favourites, you wouldn't put money on them. And then when they're underdogs, you wouldn't know what would happen.
I mean, they beat them in a league semi-final.
Yeah, and I thought, you know, a lot of people said they were lucky that day. Okay, maybe the ending, the quick goal, etc. That maybe made it look like it was a lucky win. But Donegal were very well set up that day, and they executed a really very brilliant game plan. And I thought they deserved that win, to be honest. But looking at this now, Dublin are the form team across the country, and the form players are Nicole Owens and Sinead Goldrick, Jennifer Dunn, Carla Rowe. Dublin are just bubbling at the right time. Like McBowen's biggest challenge on Sunday, I think, will be what team he picks. Like you're looking at either Lauren McGee or Kate McDade maybe not playing. I think he'll go with experience. I think he'll go with Lindsay Davey, Carla Rowe, Hannah Turrell, and then you'll have again the likes of Sinead O'Hare and Siobhan Colleen, Caoimhe O'Connor and Kate Sullivan battling out for spots. Like it's kind of incredible, you know, the talent there. And Donegal, they've just been on a poor run of form, Jackie, I feel, for the last couple of weeks since the Ulster final. Things just haven't been clicking, and you know they've injuries to Blonde and McLaughlin, which is really unfortunate.
Yeah,
you know,
she's gone, isn't she?
Yeah, you know, per Blonde and Neve, her sister, did hers twice, I think, before. So, and Karen Guthrie, if Karen's fit, great. I don't know if she is going to be fit. I just think key areas that Dublin are probably very strong in midfield. Like Donegal have been lacking there all season. They've been playing with 3 across the middle to kind of counteract that weakness. Like Katie Hearn's been deployed up front. I don't know if she's fully fit or what the thinking is behind that, but they've missed her massively in that middle third. And I just think Donegal defensively, I feel they're going to struggle with Dublin's pace overall. You know, we spoke about those informed forwards, and I just think with Donegal, they're probably short 3 quality defenders. Like Tanya Kennedy gave them a massive boost there since she came into the panel. She's a fantastic player, but you have Nicole McLaughlin and Evelyn McGinley, really solid. But I think after that, it's not consistent enough. And I think you need that consistency to get over Dublin. And look, Donegal's attack, that is their strength. But then you look at the matchups and you're like, okay, Leah Caffrey will probably pick up Geraldine. Sinead Goldrick will probably pick up Niamh McLaughlin, and Niamh Collins will pick up Yvonne, and Martha Byrne will pick up Niamh Haggerty. And you're kind of going, Jesus, where are you going to get change out of that? So, and I'm not playing Donegal down. Like I'm not doing a Kerry thing here midsummer. Like I just find it really hard to see where they're going to come up with the win. But look, as I started off with, you wouldn't know with them. They could, but Dublin are massive favourites. I've picked Dublin at the start of the year for the All-Ireland, so I'm not going to go against them now. You know,
it's an honest assessment, Nadine, and you do shoot from the hip, so it'll be interesting to see how it evolves. And I know, Emma, you've seen Dublin up close and personal, and you've been very impressed with them.
Yeah, I think Nadine makes a really good point about Mick Bones, you know, selection headaches, because he does have a selection headache. You know, he really has rotated the squad really well in the 3 group games. You know, and anyone that showed up has showed up and, you know, and performed as well on the day. You know, Nicole Owens didn't make the starting lineup for Cavan, yet came in against Tip, and, you know, you saw the return of the scores that are there. They just, I think the best thing that happened to them, you know, this year was the loss to Donegal in the league semi-final, because I think it actually gave them a bit of grounding. I thought against, you know, watching against Cavan and Tip, they were like really, really hungry, you know, in group games that they were expected to win, but you know, there's a different level and they've upped the ante. But the squad depth is just something that's just like, it will see them, you know, thrive throughout the knockout phases. I think, you know, if there's, you know, there's such pressure there, because if they're not performing, look who's coming in behind you, you know. I mean, when you're thinking about the forwards, I mean, there's probably 9 forwards who would start any other team in the country. You know, and, you know, you've kind of 6 spots, you know, and we're even talking about the possibility of, you know, Laura McGee and Jennifer Dunn have been rotating, you know, it's huge. So, you know, that I was really, really impressed with just the speed and the athleticism and the preparation in the group games, and I think that they will carry that through. So, you know, I do feel for Donegal. You know, kind of watching the kind of group games for Donegal, they were struggling. You could see that there was kind of a struggle in the formation, I thought, a little bit. You know, the kind of tactical side of it as well. So, look, but you just don't know in knockout football as well. You know, it does change things a little bit as well when knockout football. You know that everything is on the line, and teams become a little bit more organised and tetchy when it does come to the kind of knockout side of things. So.
Your line is breaking up there. You're back, Emma. You're back. Go on. You're breaking up just a small bit, Emma, so we'll see if that line resolves itself. In the meantime, just to look at Saturday in terms of the timing, so we've Dublin Donegal at 2, we've Monaghan Waterford at 2, Cork Mayo at 3, Armagh Kerry at 5, Galway Meath at 7:15. It's pull up a chair, grab the couch, get the popcorn out. You know, it's one of those days, isn't it? Then on Sunday, 2 half-1 throw-ins for the juniors and at 2 p.m. For Wexford Roscommon and 3:30 for Cllr and Laois. I want to talk about Armagh and Kerry, Caoimhe, because our last time out, the obviously the permutations, everybody was aware of them, and Armagh won by 14 points when 15 points would have put them. I'm not making any assumptions or assertions here now. Don't get me wrong, right? But Caoimhe, I know you were, you know, quite vociferous on co-coms about the situation. If that is indeed the case, right, and we can't, I suppose we cannot say with definitive certainty, but you know, reading between the lines, it's a risky enough strategy, isn't it?
It's a very risky strategy, and it's one where you could end up with egg on your face. So, you know, now I'm speaking very personally here. When I was doing the co-coms, I didn't know what was going on. Like, and I, as personally as a player, I would go out to win every game, and, you know, let the chips fall where they may. I believe that winning breeds winning, and there's a certain momentum, you know, that can take you places from that. It became very clear, you know, 10 minutes into the second half, although I tried to pretend that it wasn't happening, because I don't really agree with it personally, and that's why I agree with what Nadine's saying. I don't think the groups, I think that's a perfect example about how the groups, you know, of 3 don't work out. You know, it's unfair, and I think more games, maybe 2 groups, would be far, far better. But look, this is a decision that Armagh management obviously took, and it was pretty obvious in the second half, and very, very hard to commentate on, because it was backways, sideways, backways, sideways. The positive for that with Armagh is the fact that they were able to control that, because sometimes, you know, no matter who you're playing, you will lose concentration and there'll be a lapse there. So in terms of controlling the ball and controlling the game for a very long period of time, they did do that. So they'll take the positive out of that they can do that going forward. But look, I'm not a believer in what they did. But look, it was obviously up to them and a management decision. I don't think there's any easy side of the draw, so I would never look at it like that. And you're set, you know, if it doesn't work out, you know, you're setting yourself up for a fall. And, you know, maybe you're giving Kerry a bit of ammunition, you know, Cork ammunition, you know, do they not respect us? You know, and any teams that I would have played on for Armagh, you know, we had serious respect for them. I'm not saying Armagh don't, you know, it's a decision management took, and, you know, it's, you know, that's up to them, you know, but, you know, personally, it wouldn't have been something I would have done, but that's the way that it went. And yeah.
I tell you what, Armagh to me are a team that can win the All-Ireland, right? But if they're going to win it from here, they're going to have to beat Kerry, obviously, right? They're going to have to beat Cork or Mayo, and they're going to have to beat Dublin or Donegal or Meath or Galway. But, you know, it's so, you know, you said at the start of that answer, Caoimhe, that, you know, winning builds momentum, right? But I suppose Ronan and the girls will turn around and say, well, we won by 14 points. But I get what you're saying too. It was they've obviously, well, it's not obvious. We can't say it, but they look to have chosen one way to go. So it'll be interesting to see how it pans out. I mean, they played Kerry in the league final and Kerry beat them.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I mean, I don't know. Like, you know, as you said there, you know, when I say winning breeds winning, I mean, like, sticking to your game plan and being clinical.
Yeah.
You know, teams that have been clinical throughout, You know, what you practice, you will repeat. And that's why I believe that, you know, I feel they should have kicked on. But look, you know, that was a decision they made. I don't know how it'll pan out. But as I've said, there's no easy side of the draw. You know, I don't look at Kerry and Cork and go, that's an easy path. You know, or, you know, whatever it may be, Galway, you know, Dublin, it's not easy. None of it's easy. But look, I've just entered into management, so I haven't looked at those kind of things. I don't know. Maybe that's, you know, something that, you know, more tactical side of things is coming into the ladies' game. You know, I don't know, but it's a bold move, let's say. And, you know, Kerry Armagh this weekend is going to be the game of the weekend. I just feel it. I know that that's what it's going to be. You know, in the league final, Armagh did well in the first half, but I didn't feel they were clinical enough. And this is something that, you know, I kind of worry about. And that's why I think, you know, the game against Monaghan, they maybe should have pushed on, because, you know, the more clinical you are, you know, as I've said, you will repeat that no matter whatever game you play. And all psychologists will tell you that. But look, you know, it's set up to be a really, really tough match. You know, they both know each other so well. I would say Armagh were not happy. I know they weren't happy with their performance in the league final. And you really want to go out and just play your very absolute best. And whatever happens after that, you know, you can live with that. You know, in 2019, we played Mayo in the quarterfinal and we lost. But I was happier coming off the pitch because I knew we did all we could do. Okay. So when you come off the pitch and you know that's all you can do, that's grand. But I know the girls weren't happy in the league final because they felt they didn't perform. So they'll be going out to perform on Saturday. And look, you know, the two teams play quite a similar style of football in terms of they press the kick out. Kerry are very, very quick to the ball. They have a very strong midfield who like to go straight through the middle. Armagh set up well defensively, but in the league final, it showed how Kerry could break that down because they found the pockets of space. So I don't know whether Armagh are going to maybe have to tighten it up a little bit in defence, you know, come a wee bit closer, where they all kind of seem to sit in, you know, squares of spaces. There are still room for Kerry to get through. But, you know, what I look at in Kerry is Cronin, their full back. Oh my God, I just think she is amazing. She dealt with Caoimhe Marley, you know, enough in the league final. But what I loved about it was she was able to set up the attack. Like, you would have seen her at the halfway line at times. Like, and I just thought, oh, I just wish I could have been a full back like you know, and they're organised, they're confident to run the ball. And like, I mean, they had Rachel O'Dwyer who came in and scored 1-5 against Westmeath, and they had 6 changes on that day, and they still performed really well. So they are a team to be, you know, respected. And I know Armagh will respect them and they'll have their homework well done. But if you look at their form, you know, they played tight games. You know, the Galway game, I loved it. I thought it was a brilliant game. It's the best game I've watched so far. Lovely attacking football. It was end to end. It was really, really good standard. You know, and it was close and it was a hard fought battle. So, you know, I think that both teams will need to be on top form. There'll be a bit of revenge in it for Armagh. And then I suppose on the flip side of things, if Kerry are taken out of it, that, you know, there's a bit of a disrespect there. You know, it really leads for a recipe of a ding-dong game, as you would say, Emma. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Nadine, I think Caoimhe's just set it up pretty well. And I think she makes a good point too. Like, I mean, I think this is going to be a fired-up Kerry.
Oh, big time. And I think Kerry were fired up for obviously you're fired up for league final, but there wasn't much talk about them, and that definitely spurred them on for that league final. Like, they came in quietly and did their work. And just a few points that Caoimhe make, and I agree 100%. I think Armagh taking the foot off the pedal for that second half could have a big impact on them, because as you say, like, if you're not going at 100 miles an hour, like, they've missed out on a half of football, and it's a short championship. Like, it's only 2 group games. So, like, they've essentially missed out on a half of football. I agree with you 100% about their accuracy rate. Like, Amy is an unbelievable player. She's in the top 5 players in the country, obviously. But she's 1 in 3. Like, if you look at her stats, she's probably 1 in 3. Now, that 1 in 3 will be an absolute wonder score. But she'll have her hands full with Katie Cronin again. And I think a key area of which Caoimhe touched on is that middle third. Like you mentioned, Kerry, like you have Lorraine Scanlon, Anna Galvin, Koch Lynch, like their whole half forward line, midfield, half back line, like they all go together. But then you counteract that as well. That's probably Armagh's strongest part. You have like Lauren McConville, you have Niamh, like Caoimhe's sister, you have Caroline O'Hanlon, Blahin Mackin. So like, I just think that is going to be an absolute melting pot. And whoever comes out of that alive, I think, will win the game, essentially. Like, I think that's where the winning and losing is going to be. Because you do have Amy, you do have Louise Namar-Hertig, like, you have players who are going to get scores. It's where the ball is going to come from, and that middle third, I think, is going to be key. But it is going to be a cracker. Like, and like, I would have Armagh probably number 3 at the minute. Like, I'd have Dublin, probably Meath, Armagh, but then you throw Kerry in the mix there in that particular game, and who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Oh, it's going to be classy. You're actually giving me goosebumps to talking. You're teeing it up unbelievably well. And I know for a fact, Emma Murphy, that the Cork are happy enough at the moment. Like, you know, there's nobody talking about them. You know, they're just getting about their business. They've Mayo in the quarterfinal on Saturday, and I'd say they're quite happy with how things are going. Isn't it incredible that a team of Cork's calibre, I suppose, Emma, the point of making a team of Cork's calibre, that there hasn't been much chat about them, and I'm sure they're quite fine with that.
I'm sure they are. I'm sure they're very happy to be just softly tipping away. Nobody's talking about them. They're not creating any controversy. Came through the group seamlessly and easily enough, and they're into an All-Ireland quarter-final, and there's no pressure there. And when there's no pressure on teams, you know, that's when things actually, you know, go well and go right for them. And, you know, I think Cork have probably suffered from the reputation of the last decade and a half and, you know, the pressure of that. But, you know, over the last kind of 2 years, they've just kind of done their rebuild quietly and ticked along. And, you know, they're set up for an All-Ireland quarterfinal this week against Mayo. It wasn't really, I think Mayo are really struggling with probably with the AFLW players that are not within their squad. You can see the deficit that's created there as well, and I think that's going to be a big talking point for them. You know, when they kind of look back on the end of the year, other teams we've seen, you know, Meath still have their AFLW stars and that side of the house, but I do think it has impacted Mayo greatly. You know, Dublin were like, you know, took them out fairly handily as well. So, and I was actually at the Connacht final, and they were fairly poor. You know, Galway kind of got over the line there, you know, quite handily and quite easily. So, you know, and that's not to write Mayo off, but, you know, Cork are just bubbling away and tipping away, and, you know, Cork would obviously be favourites going into this one, but, you know, it's, you know, Mayo always have a game in them as well. So, you know, that one's going to be very interesting.
It absolutely is. And that leaves us then with Galway and Meath, the reigning All-Ireland champions. So who wants to pick up on this one? Maybe Caoimhe. Obviously Meath and Armagh met in a knockout game, and they drew as well. They met in a knockout game last year, quarter-final, and drew this year. What's your assessment of Meath and where they are? Have they A, dipped a little, or B, to use a lovely phrase from Emma, are they just tipping along now and ready to explode? Where do you think they are?
I've just written down here that Meath just seemed to be doing enough, and they looked a little bit tired against Armagh. That's how I kind of felt. You know, obviously in the seasons you'll take, you know, there'll be troughs and there'll be highs and whatever, but they're just going along at this moment in time. But then, but you know, you'd be waiting for them to kind of peak. But then I don't know if they're tired. You know, they've had 2 years of complete out and out hard football, you know, and it's hard to stay up there, you know, and it's the quality teams that will stay up there. You know, you see the likes of Dublin and Cork, you know, it's not easy to do. So I'm not writing them off by any means, you know, they just seem to do enough. But I'll revert back to the Galway Kerry game. You know, I thought they showed great class. I thought they were very clinical, and they've improved an awful lot. But it's Meath's structures and plans that they have in place. You know, they tend to just seem to wear a team down, and they're not looking for big out and out scores. You know, they're happy to beat a team by a point or whatever it may be. So I'll still tip Meath for it. I think they'll have enough to shut Galway down. But, you know, if Galway get their homework right, maybe, you know, they could. But I can't see past them, even though I do think they're tiring a little bit. I can't see past Meath beating Galway, though.
Okay, right. I'm going to go around the house to finish up, right? And we just want one-word answers here, folks. I'll start with you, Nadine. Dublin or Donegal?
Dublin.
Cork or Mayo?
Cork.
Armagh or Kerry?
Armagh.
Galway or Meath?
Meath.
Okay. Monaghan or Waterford?
Waterford.
Cllr or Laois?
Cllr.
Wexford or Roscommon?
Roscommon.
Antrim or Carlow?
Antrim.
Fermanagh or Limerick?
Fermanagh.
Okay, I'm
Good
not going
woman.
to ask you that one, Caoimhe, right? So I'll leave you out of the Fermanagh Limerick one
Right.
in the interest of fairness here. And I'll keep you away from the other one as well in case somebody puts it up on the dressing room wall if you get to Crow Park. So we'll go up to the intermediate. Wexford or Roscommon, Caoimhe? Who's your fancy?
Wexford. Sorry, Emma.
Okay. Cllr or Laois?
Laois.
Monaghan or Waterford?
Waterford.
Galway or Meath?
Meath.
Armagh or Kerry?
Armagh.
Cork or Mayo?
Cork.
Dublin or Donegal?
Dublin.
Okay, and Emma, the last word goes to you. The last 9 words, because we've 9 games. Dublin or Donegal?
Dublin.
Cork or Mayo?
Cork.
Armagh or Kerry?
Kerry.
Wow. Okay. Galway or Meath?
I think there's going to be a surprise. Galway.
Do you?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Monaghan or Waterford?
Waterford.
Cllr or Laois?
Laois.
You better answer this one right. Wexford or Roscommon?
Roscommon.
Okay, I was expecting that answer. Antrim or Carlow?
Carlow.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. Fermanagh or Limerick?
Fermanagh.
Oh, Caoimhe, you'll be happy with that. Brilliant, folks. I think we've teed it up well for what lies in store over the weekend. So just a reminder as well, folks, if you're watching Dublin Donegal Sport TG4 YouTube, Cork Mayo Sport TG4 YouTube, Armagh, Kerry and Galway Meath both on linear TV, i.e. TG4 on the goggle box. Monaghan Waterford is on our subscription service, our in-player service, as are the 4 games on Sunday, both intermediate semi-finals and 2 junior semi-finals. My guests today, Nadine Doherty, Caoimhe Marley Morgan and Emma Murphy. Thank you so much for coming along. You've just whetted the appetite, so thanks a million.
Thanks, Jackie.
Thank you.